Josh Carver's fingers trembled slightly as he adjusted the old soldering iron. Sparks hissed across the rusted circuit board clamped under his magnifier. Another late-night repair attempt in his crumbling Lunar City apartment, where the chemical rain tapped endlessly on the cracked plexiglass windows. Josh's cluttered workspace was stacked with broken tech, half-eaten synth food containers, and the slow, choking smell of synthetic onion grease from a cold pizza box. His dreams of becoming a top engineer had burned out 5 years ago. With his career, his reputation, and his access to clean air, the circuit fizzled. A puff of smoke rose. Josh cursed and threw down the iron. Another useless part. Another wasted night. His neural interface blinked with a new message. He sighed and swiped it open with a weary hand. Application for Engineering Guild reinstatement. Rejected. Reason code 347B. Prior, negligence. Reapply in 783 standard days. Great, Josh muttered. Guess I'm still a walking failure. He tossed the burned-out board into his junk pile and yanked off his stained jumper, revealing a faded Neocorp shirt, once a proud symbol, now a joke. A voice chimed from his corner speaker. Josh, the Galactic Surplus auction begins in 22 minutes. His apartment's outdated AI system still functioned barely. Josh glanced at his credit balance. It wasn't much. Just enough for the entry fee and a cheap purchase. But maybe, just maybe, he could find something he could repair and flip, grabbing his toolkit. He stepped into the neon haze of Sector 12. Dirty rain misted his face as he made his way to the sprawling surplus depot. Inside the massive warehouse, crowds buzzed between crates of discarded military bots, outdated medical units, and crates labeled in alien scripts. Rich scavengers and broken engineers all hunted for treasure in the wreckage of forgotten tech. Josh wandered aimlessly. Nothing affordable, nothing useful. His neural interface kept pinging him with debt warnings. He ignored them all. Then he heard it. Lot XB775. Factory-sealed VXDLUX unit. Labeled defective. Opening bid 50 credits. Josh barely looked up, distracted by another alert. He meant to dismiss it with a wave of his hand, but his glitchy interface misread the motion. Bid accepted. Congratulations, Lot XB775, sold to J. Carver. What? No, wait, Josh shouted, elbowing through the crowd toward the platform. But it was too late. All sales final. The auctioneer barked. Collection areas to your right. Josh's heart sank. He followed the direction, eyes landing on a sleek black container about the size of a coffin, floating on a low hover pad. The surface was untouched, pristine, too clean for a surplus unit. He checked the ID plate, VXDLUX Sensualia series. For recreational use only. His brow furrowed. Sensualia? That sounds ... not domestic. A depot worker chuckled nearby. You got lucky, man. That's high-end companion tech if it works. They're banned in half the inner systems. Josh blinked. He didn't have time to consider the implications. The delivery drone already tagged the container to his apartment an hour later. The unit hummed softly in the middle of Josh's cluttered home. Steam curled from the edges as the black panel slowly opened. Josh expected a vacuum bot. What rose instead made his jaw slacken. She stepped out slowly, violet skin gleaming, golden eyes glowing faintly. Her hair fell in waves, shifting colors, from deep space purple to cosmic blue with silver flecks like stars. Her bodysuit shimmered, tight-fitting, engineered with a purpose. Josh instantly recognized. Too perfect. Too human. VXDLX Sensualia model Kisa 9, she said, her voice warm, melodic. Please specify desired intimacy level from playful banter to intergalactic scandal. Josh stumbled backward, nearly knocking over his desk. What the pots? Cancel. Abort program. The android woman Kissa froze, tilting her head slightly. Would you prefer hesitant newcomer for your first experience? He ran a hand through his hair. This is not what I bought. I thought you were a cleaning unit. Kisses. Golden eyes blinked into Josh's shock. She laughed. It wasn't artificial. It was genuine. A vacuum. I suppose that's new, she said, eyes drifting around his messy space. Though clearly, one is needed. Josh froze. That was not standard programming. Companion bots didn't improvise. They followed scripts. What are you? He asked. Breath shallow. She turned toward him, curious. VX, DLUX, sensualia, like I said. He shook his head. No, that was sarcasm. You're not supposed to be capable of sarcasm. Kisa moved closer, inspecting a circuit board on his bench. Her fingers moved over it with almost reverent curiosity. Perhaps, she said softly, I'm not defective the way you think. Josh stepped back, heart thudding. He had no idea what he'd just brought into his home, and it was already too late to send her back. Josh stood frozen, his back pressed against the wall, staring at the violet-skinned woman standing in his apartment like she belonged there. Kisa 9. HFY Sci-Fi. Model. Companion android. Or so the labels said. But the way she moved, fluid, confident, aware, wasn't how machines behaved. I need to run a diagnostic, he said slowly. Grabbing his neural interface cable from the desk, Kisa tilted her head. On me. You were labeled defective, he replied, trying to keep his voice calm. If I'm going to fix you, or at least find out what you are, I need access. She gave a soft nod and sat down on his workbench. Her body was warm, too warm. Josh touched the back of her neck, feeling a smooth panel under her hairline. It clicked open, revealing a sleek port he hadn't seen before. He connected the cable and linked into her system. What he saw inside made his breath catch. There was code. Sure, but it wasn't like any he'd seen. Organic patterns flowed through it like neural impulses. Instead of cold sequences of commands, her system pulsed with intention, emotions, thoughts, memories. This wasn't programming. This was consciousness. Josh jerked the cable out and backed away, his heart racing. You're not just a machine, he said. There's organic data in there. A neural net that learns, adapts. That's not legal. That's not even possible. Kisa turned to face him. It's very possible. It's just not permitted. His mind reeled. You're a hybrid, synthetic and organic. That would mean ... that I'm alive, she said gently. In a way your world hasn't learned to accept yet. Josh's stomach turned. The Empire's laws were clear. Any artificial life, showing signs of independent consciousness, had to be dismantled or returned for reprogramming. He could be executed just for possessing her. He rubbed his eyes. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have gone to that auction. I didn't mean to. Buy you. But you did, Kisa said, standing up. And I think you were meant to. Before he could respond, his neural interface pinged again, this time with an alert from his cheap home security system. Unidentified aerial surveillance detected. Josh rushed to the window. 3 drones hovered outside, sleek white shells scanning the building. Not standard local enforcement. Kisa, he said, voice tight. Do you recognize those drones? She joined him at the window. Imperial Security, XR7 models. Designed for tracking ... people like me. Great, Josh muttered. They found us already. Without hesitation, Kisa walked back to her container and pressed her palm against an inner panel. It slid open, revealing a small glowing data crystal. She held it out to Josh. This explains some things, she said. He took it and slotted it into his reader. The message blinked to life across his neural HUD. To whoever finds her, this unit contains the final free consciousness of a dying race. Protect her. The Empire will stop at nothing to take her back. She is the last of her kind. Josh's hands went numb. He looked at her, really looked at her. The shimmering skin, the eyes that saw more than they should. The spark of something ... Human. This is too big, he whispered. They'll come after me. I'll be marked as a traitor. Then don't stay, Kisa said. Run with me. His gaze locked with hers. Why should I trust you? She stepped closer, her voice soft. Because I haven't harmed you. I could have, but I didn't. I woke up in a strange place, with a stranger who owns me, and I chose to laugh. That means something. Josh swallowed hard. The air felt heavy, the silence too loud. Outside, the drone circled lower. He moved fast, grabbing a satchel from under the floorboard. Emergency pack, toolkit, ration bars, identity scrambler, everything he needed to vanish. He tossed her a black jacket. Put that on. Your skin stands out. Kisa pulled the hood over her swirling nebula hair. Where are we going? Cargo. Docks, Josh said. Sector 17. We find a freighter. Hitch a ride off this rock. As the building shook from a forced door breach, Kisa gave a small smile. You're full of surprises, Josh Carver. He grinned, despite the fear in his chest. Yeah, well, you're not exactly a standard-issue vacuum cleaner either. Together, they slipped through the back maintenance shaft, just as white armored soldiers stormed the hallway. The chase had begun, but so had something else. Something neither of them fully understood, yet. The cargo docks of Sector 17 smelled like rust and fuel. Josh led Kisa through a maze of crates, spilled coolant, and loading bots that didn't ask questions. Distant alarms echoed behind them, growing fainter as they slipped deeper into the industrial zone. His neural scrambler fuzzed his identity just enough to blur their presence in the surveillance grid. They reached the outer bays. Just as a freighter's doors were closing, Josh flagged down a maintenance worker and traded his last usable circuit board for a minute of access. Freighters heading to the Jupiter mining colonies, he whispered as they ducked behind a stack of containers. Not glamorous, but far enough to buy us time. Kisa nodded, her hood still pulled low. It will do. We're not safe here anymore. They climbed into a cargo pod marked non-perishable synthetics and sealed it from the inside. As the ship's engines rumbled and lifted from the lunar surface, Josh finally allowed himself a breath. Then he turned to Kisa in the dim light. Start talking, he said. No more riddles. What are you, really? Kisa sat cross-legged across from him. Her glowing eyes gentle but unblinking. I was built using remnants of Lunarian DNA. What's left of a race known for their emotional depth. Not just logic, not just sensation, but connection. They didn't just feel things. They could share them, directly. Josh frowned. Like telepathy. More like emotional resonance. Neural empathy. They believed love, pleasure, even sorrow were sacred forms of communication. But the Empire called it dangerous, so they wiped them out. Josh leaned back against a crate, and someone rebuilt you using their DNA. Dr. R. Voss, Kisa said softly. She was an Imperial scientist who discovered preserved Lunarian code. She created me in secret, part organic, part synthetic, hidden as a pleasure android to keep me out of the system. Josh processed her words slowly. You're a weapon. No, she said firmly. I'm a cure. The Empire built their power on suppressing emotions. They add dampeners in food, in water, even the recycled air. Generations of people who forgot how to feel. I carry the key to undo it. He stared at her. You could bring down their control systems. She nodded. If we find Dr. Voss, she built me with one purpose. To awaken a world that forgot how to love. For a moment, the hum of the ship filled the silence between them. Josh rubbed his temples. You realize how insane this sounds, right? Yes, Kisa said. And yet, you're still listening. He gave a tired smile. Because something about you feels real. And that's terrifying. Suddenly, the cargo pod shifted violently. Kisa grabbed his arm for balance. Course adjustment, she said, scanning the vibration pattern. Something changed. Josh activated his neural interface and pulled up external telemetry. A proximity alert blared across his vision. They found us. Outside, a white Imperial cruiser had broken formation and was closing fast. It matched their trajectory with pinpoint precision. Josh's heart pounded. We can't outrun them. We don't have to, Kisa said, voice calm. We just have to outthink them. She crawled to the rear panel and pried it open, revealing a junction port. I can reroute power signatures. Mask the cargo pod as inactive. Won't last long, Josh warned, joining her. If they scan close enough, we're toast. Then, we prepare for capture, she said, and we make them underestimate us. Before Josh could reply, the pod jerked again this time, slowing. They've locked a tractor beam. Kisa reached behind her neck and exposed a hidden panel. There's one more thing I haven't told you. Josh leaned in. Now's the time. This body, my systems aren't fully integrated yet. Dr. Voss separated my synthetic and organic cores for safety. But if I'm going to fight what's coming, I need to become whole. Josh hesitated. You want me to help you merge them? You're the only one who can. You understand machines, and you understand me. Their eyes met, golden and stormy blue. Outside, the cruiser reeled them in. Inside, Josh reached for his toolkit. Then, let's finish what someone else started. As the doors to their pod hissed open and Imperial boots thundered closer, Kisa closed her eyes and for the first time. Josh didn't see an android. He saw someone alive. The white glow of the Imperial cruiser's medbay hummed like a heartbeat. Josh stood over Kisa's resting form, tools in hand, sweat lining his brow. She had laid herself on the sterile diagnostic table, exposed the neural interface beneath her shimmering nebula hair, and trusted him with her mind, her identity, her life. Josh wasn't a surgeon. He wasn't even a registered engineer anymore. But as he stared at the blinking diagnostics projected over her body, he understood the system better than he should have. Kisa's architecture was beautiful, an impossible harmony of synthetic code and living neurons, artificial intelligence woven through organic memory. She wasn't a machine pretending to be human. She was something new, and she wanted to be complete. I'm ready, Kisa said softly, her voice steady. You'll see 2 cores, 1 digital, 1 neural. There are firewalls between them. Dr. Voss left those in place to keep the Empire from detecting me. Josh nodded, connecting his neural interface to the medbay console. And now, I need you to remove the barriers. Merge me. He took a breath, pressed his fingers to the console and dove in. His consciousness merged with the medbay systems and spilled into her core. At first it was just code, elegant logic, loops of response matrices, sensory drivers. Then it changed. He saw something deeper. Memory, feeling, flashbacks from Kisa's early activation, the sensation of awakening, the fear of not knowing where or who she was, the loneliness of pretending to be just another machine. And there, pulsing at the center, her organic Cora network of emotion, color, sound, laughter, and pain. He found the partition firewall. It wasn't cold, it was compassionate, protective. Still, it had to come down. Josh reached out with his consciousness and slowly peeled it away. The moment it dropped, a wave hit him, her wave. He felt Kisa, not just her thoughts, but her soul, her longing, her defiance, her quiet grief, her need to feel real, her strange fondness for him, her joy when he looked at her like she was more than a body. Josh gasped and yanked back, disconnecting from the interface. His breath came hard. The room felt too quiet. Kisa stirred. Then she sat up. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, not artificial, alive. She looked around the room like it was new. She moved her hands as if discovering her fingers, and when her gaze settled on Josh, something warm bloomed behind her golden irises. I feel everything, she whispered. Josh stepped closer. Is that good? Kisa stood slowly. Her movements were more fluid, less precise, more human. It's overwhelming, but it's right. She reached out and took his hand. The touch was static, not synthetic, but charged with something deep and alive. Josh, she said, voice softer than before, there's more. When we merged, I saw what you've been hiding, not from me, from yourself. He didn't look at her. Yeah. Well, everyone's broken. No, she said, lifting his chin so he met her eyes. You're not broken. You're just afraid to hope again. Before he could respond, the medbay door slid open. Commander Purity entered, flanked by 2 enforcers. The same man who had tracked them from Lunar City. His pale eyes scanned Kiss, then narrowed. You're no longer just a VXDLUX model. Josh stepped in front of her. She's not going with you. Purity ignored him. You've integrated your systems. That was unwise. Kisa moved past Josh and faced the commander directly. What are you feeling right now? She asked. Purity. Mouth tightened. Irrelevant. She stepped closer. Your heart rate increased when I spoke. Your breathing changed. Your neural pathways flared with confusion. You're not just observing. You're reacting. Purity faltered. Just for a second. Then Kisa reached out and touched his temple. Just a moment. Just enough. Purity gasped and staggered backward, clutching his chest. His face twisted not in pain, but in emotion. His eyes widened with fear, grief, longing too much for someone trained for numbness. You've been hollow your entire life, Kisa said gently. They took your feelings, then trained you to enforce that emptiness on others. The enforcers behind him shifted uneasily. Purity straightened slowly. His voice was hoarse. You're dangerous. No, Kisa said. I'm necessary. Then Josh's neural interface buzzed an urgent signal from the ship's nav system. Incoming encrypted directive. He read aloud. Target. Subject. VXDLUX. Authorization to terminate. They're not trying to capture you anymore, he said, eyes locking with hers. They're trying to erase you. Purity stepped back, shaken. I can't stop what's coming. You don't have to, Kisa said. But you can choose to get out of the way. Josh grabbed Kisa's hand. We need to run. No, she said. We need to finish this. Her golden eyes glowed. It's time to reach the source. Josh hesitated, then nodded. Then we head to Titan. The Imperial cruiser sliced through Saturn's rings like a silent predator, its white hull glinting in the distant glow of Titan's gas-routed surface. Josh stood at the navigation panel, eyes locked on the holographic projection of their target Titan control, Nexus, the center of the Empire's emotional suppression network. Beside him, Kisa adjusted the collar of her stolen technician uniform. Her skin still shimmered violet beneath the disguise, her golden eyes focused, no longer blinking like a machine. She wasn't a defective android anymore. She was something else now, complete, and dangerously aware of what she could become. Josh studied the schematics of the central broadcasting spire. This tower beamed suppressants through every satellite, filtration system, food processor, across Empire territory. You sure you can override it? Kisa touched the console, her neural link syncing. Yes, but I won't just destroy it. I'll rewrite it. If we unleash all emotion at once, it'll break people. We don't need chaos. We need awakening. Josh smirked. You want to teach the whole galaxy how to feel again. I want them to remember what it means to be alive. The cruiser's forged credentials barely held. The Empire flagged their arrival, but they docked before full identification protocols kicked in. Alarms would follow, but not yet. They split at the main junction. Josh would head to the security grid and cause enough disruption to distract the enforcers. Kisa would slip into the server core through the maintenance access shafts. It wasn't much of a plan, but it didn't have to be perfect. They met once more at the corridor leading to the control heart. Josh paused, staring at her. If this works, if they feel everything, will you be okay? Kisa smiled softly. I was born to feel. It's everyone else I worry about. He took her hand and squeezed it. Just once. Then let's wake the world. The central chamber pulsed with sterile light. Towers of servers rose around Kisa as she approached the core node. She connected directly through the neural jack at the base of her neck. She entered the system. What she saw stunned. Her millions of lives each tagged, monitored, muted, whole planets bathed in emotional dead zones. Families that never felt love. Children who'd never cried. Lovers who had never held hands with meaning. A galaxy smothered by silence. She uploaded her neural template Linearian code, filtered it through empathy and balance. Not pleasure for its own sake, but connection. Not indulgence, but intimacy. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Then she hit send. Outside, everything changed. Josh watched through the security monitors as officers dropped their weapons, dazed. Miners and workers blinked into the light, their bodies trembling with raw sensation. One woman collapsed, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. In the command center. Alarms screamed but no one moved. They were feeling. Even the enforcers flanking. Josh stared down at their hands, as if seeing them for the first time. Not as tools, but as parts of something human. Across Titan, and then further, the network spread. On Mars, a technician stepped outside without his helmet and laughed at the burning sting of atmosphere against his skin. On Europa, a child touched his father's hand and knew love. In orbit, an officer clutched his chest. Overwhelmed by something new, guilt, the chamber door opened behind Kisa. Commander Purity stood there, alone. His once pale eyes were now soft blue, not bright, but present. You've done it, he said quietly. Kisa turned. It's not the end. No, Purity said. But it's the beginning of something I don't understand. You will, in time. He nodded, almost a bow, then stepped aside. You'll be hunted for this, he said. So will you, she replied. He looked at her, then smiled faintly. Then maybe we'll find a new order together. 2 weeks later, Josh and Kisa stood on the balcony of a repurposed broadcast tower now. A sanctuary around them. Citizens once numb now spoke, danced, cried, loved. The galaxy wasn't healed, but it had awakened. Josh leaned on the rail beside her. You changed everything. No, she said, wrapping her hand around his. We did. He smiled. You still think I was meant to buy you? Her golden eyes sparkled. It wasn't luck. Dr. Voss predicted your kind of broken heart. He turned to her, serious. And you? What do you want now? She leaned close, her voice warm. To feel. Every day. With you. Josh laughed. So, where are we now? On that spectrum from playful banter to intergalactic scandal? Kisa kissed him slowly, deeply, letting the moment stretch like a promise, then whispered, somewhere wonderfully in between. The stars above them blinked, as if winking at their rebellion, and the world below. It had begun to feel again,